Hi everyone, my name is Nadine Gilkison, and today's topic I'm going to be talking about digital quality over quantity. This is a very popular topic, and I know that this discussion can help educators hopefully become more at ease with what you design for students to do. So I want to kick it off by showing an example of student A versus student B. And in this representation, I want you to think about in your mind daily work from one subject area or one content area. So let's imagine that the teacher that has student A has created their core lesson in Google Slides, and it has practice in it, but the total slide count has about 5 or 6. The teacher has some videos of them, also with some embedded practice that they want the kids to do. That student A, is going to be completing that work in the allotted time frame, and the parents are overall happy with the student work because they feel like that it's an accurate representation of the amount of work that they need to do. And they don't understand why they keep hearing that some other parents are upset with the amount of work. Okay, now let's take a look at student B. So these two kids have the same content, but they have different teachers for that content. Student B, that teacher decides to have that core lesson in Google Slides that has practice, but I want you to pay attention to the total slide count. Rather than having 5 or 6 slides, this teacher has 10 to 20 slides in here. When the student opens that slide deck, they're immediately going to be frustrated, and they are more than likely not going to complete all of the work, and these may be students that typically don't do the work at all. At home, the parent is very upset because they're dealing with tears daily from the student. They're wondering why other teachers are not giving this much, but this child's teacher is. Why? Because parents talk. So I know this is a hard topic to discuss, but I want you to know off the bat, we've all done it. I want everybody to relax. There's been that moment either with digital work or with regular work that we as a teacher have realized, crud, I gave them way too much. So I want you to acknowledge that. And I also know that you're probably having some thoughts in your head right now. You might be thinking to yourself, well, yeah, but if my class is 90 minutes, then the student should be doing 90 minutes worth of work, correct? And the answer to that is no, not really. Because when you're doing and you're teaching face-to-face in your classroom, you're having that I do, we do, you do portion in there, and when you're getting down to the portion that the kid is actually doing on their own, it's not encompassing the entire 90 minutes. And that's what you need to think to yourself whenever you are designing a digital lesson. Some of you might be thinking, well, I mean, I went out and I purchased a product, and if I purchase that product, I mean, I got to get my money's worth out of it. So I feel the pressure that I need to slap all of the slides that I just purchased and put it into this and have the students do it. You might also be saying to yourself, well, I'm not expecting them to do all of that. I just put those on there for additional practice. I wasn't trying to stress people out. First off, I want you to know, if you feel the first one, that you feel the pressure if you purchased a product, you don't need to use everything that came with that product. The way I view, if you're going to decide to purchase something, is that obviously it's supplemental, it's not your core curriculum, and you, as I said, you're using it as a supplement. It doesn't mean that, maybe that package or bundle came with 50 slides that you need to throw 50 slides at the students or 20 slides. Pick 4 or 5, maybe even pick 1 or 2 that the kids could do as an interactive that you want them to do. Same thing if you did it for extra practice. I know it's extra practice, but at what point is it that the kids don't understand, or the family at home doesn't understand, and they totally believe that they are supposed to do everything that's on there? And believe me, I get it. You know, as a teacher, you guys are thinking about what you have to do to plan, the amount of time that it takes to plan everything that you're trying to pull off. You know, especially when we're in the middle of, you know, being completely digital, you know, with everything with the pandemic, if you're hybrid, if you're dealing with students that are in quarantine. But I also want you to remember this discussion when it goes back to, you know, I guess normal, when we're, you know, totally back to face, because many districts are one-to-one with devices. And so you're putting out digital content a lot of times, and I want you to consciously think about the amount of work, the amount of digital content that you are asking the kids to do. I know that digital planning can be time consuming. You know, a lot of teachers are comfortable with their craft and knowing how they're going to teach it and what they're going to teach it, but when they have to transfer that into a digital format, that's where they definitely feel very frustrated. They're like, I know how to do my job, but this just took it to a whole new level. And so many decide to resort to, okay, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to find something. I'm willing to invest my money in it, and I'm going to find something out there that's a quick fix. And I want you to know that you don't need to do that. If you do decide to do that, I want you to have some questions in the back of your mind when you do decide to look at that. So more often than not, if you do decide to purchase something, it literally is a digital worksheet. If it is a digital worksheet, I need you to take a look at it either before you purchase it or go back and look at something that you purchased and take a look at these items, okay? You need to be looking at it for rigor over how cute that it is, okay? I love graphic design just as much as the next person, but you have to analyze in your mind, am I choosing to use this because it looks like presentation-wise looks great, but look at the actual meat, the bones, the content that's embedded within it. Does it have something higher than a DOK level 1? Because if it's just simple recalling of facts and it's that over and over again times 10, 20 slides, then it's really not something that you want to use extensively. By no means am I saying never use it, because I do definitely believe that there needs to be a balance. But some of the other questions that you need to ask yourself, is it accessible? A lot of times when you purchase items that other people have made, they're going to lock down the content. They're not going to make it editable for you. And when they do that, then it is not accessible. So in other words, a screen reader or something else has a very difficult time to operate using that product. What is the purpose of why you're using it? Remember I said we all have core content, core curriculum. It should be that you're using it as something that's supplemental, but make sure that it isn't just something, well, you know, I found it, it looked good, and it's a bunch of busy work, but it was just too cute to pass up. It was a great deal for me to pass up, so that's why I'm going to use it. So just keep those things in mind. And again, as I said, you know, there's a balance. I am not doing this video to say never ever use something that you decide to purchase. I'm saying ask yourself these questions before you decide to use it. And as I said, balance. You can use it, but use it within, you know, certain parameters. You know, go back, ask yourself those questions, but less is more, basically, is a message that I want you to think about. The other thing is that I want you to stop and think about what type of activity is it that you're asking the kids to do. And oftentimes when I help out teachers, they'll tell me what kind of activity, and what I learned over the years is that those activities, those assignments, those practice activities fell into these categories. And obviously we have to have our foundation, a clear path for the kid to get to the work. But the next step up is a level 1, which basically is a digital worksheet. And yes, a digital worksheet is good to a certain extent, but if that's all you're putting out to the kids, or if you're putting it out there in large quantities, then that's why they get really fed up and the kids burn out and they are less likely to actually complete the assignment. So the next stage or the next level beyond that is creating an assignment that goes beyond the digital worksheet. So how do you know if you've done that? Do you have multimedia in there, and is there student choice? So when I say multimedia, if you're having the student record their voice or record a video of themselves, Flipgrid is a great option for that, or even Seesaw. That's the easiest way to kick up everything that you're asking that kid to do, kick it up a notch. You know, going also beyond that digital worksheet, taking it just a bump up from level 1, not quite level 2, but instead of having it just as a draggable in Google Slides, if you bumped it up to something like a Quizzes or Pear Deck, any types of those interactives are, again, it's going to bump up the interactivity, bump up the engagement with the students. It's going beyond just handing out a stack of worksheets, if that makes sense. The ultimate level means that the kid is going to have student choice, you're going to have multimedia, and then the ultimate is that you're going to have the kid create something. And that's where HyperDocs and EDU protocols come into play. If you're listening to this right now and you're like, I have no idea what a HyperDoc is, I don't know what an EDU protocol is, those are other PDs that you can investigate. Reach out to me, I can help you out with those things. But I feel like having this kind of snapshot of knowing where you are with the type of assignments that you're sending out to kids is something that's very vital for you to take a look at. And I often tell teachers, print it out and lay it out next to your desk when you're coming up with assignments, and just kind of pay attention. Ooh, this is another level 1, another level 1. It is a level 1, but what's the quantity of the level 1 that I'm giving them? Because again, I'm not saying only do a level 2 or a level 3. I'm saying get a mix, but definitely with the level 1, you've got to be mindful that the quantity of the level 1 is not overwhelming to the kid. If you need a refresher on Weve's depth of knowledge and you're not sure, you know, hey, what level of DOK is this activity actually covering, I added this anchor chart in here that you can go back and kind of analyze the type of activity that you are putting out for the kids. I want to show you this clip because it's really focusing on how these kids, you know, how we design experiences for kids and how we can make that more impactful for them. So I want to show you that clip now.
Cheesemaker, or a time machine, or a time machine with an automatic grilled cheesemaker. Now imagine who's going to invent it. Him? Glasses here? Whoever they are? Or maybe her? But how do kids like these become the types of people that do things like this? Maybe we should ask this guy.
Knowledge is heavy. Sometimes it's a limit to have new ideas. That's the problem with the old schooling, because they were teaching answers. I believe questions are probably more important today than the answers.
Erno's cube is a question waiting to be answered. And when the right person finds the right question, something amazing happens. They start seeing the world as it truly is. Not a place to be memorized, but a place to be figured out, flipped, turned, twisted, and ultimately made better, forever. Today, she may be an octopus, but help kids like her fall in love with problem solving, and they will embark on journeys to become scientists, artists, engineers, designers, inventors, or something no one's ever been before, but you can bet we're gonna need. That's why moments like this, go, and this, and especially this, are so important. Because there are companies to found, planets to walk on, time machines to invent, a future to be made amazing. We may not know what it's going to look like, but we know who's going to do it.
So So I've always loved that video. It really kind of resonates with me in getting that spark that we all have as educators. But I'm sure that you have some thoughts going in your head again right now. Yeah, but I'm not good at digital design. I don't even know how to create a quality digital lesson that's engaging. And so maybe those are the reasons why that you tend to go out and purchase things. So I wanted to let you know that this is the sign that you've been looking for. I want to give you some tips to help you out. Whenever I design digital content, a lot of times I use the strategy of a digital dump. So I will open a new slide deck. So on a new tab, I'll type in slides.new. I'll go out to search for digital content in various places. When I find something that I like, I dump it. I dump the link on a blank slide. And I tend to dump things in categories. I might label the slides I do, we do, you do. I might label the slides explore, explain, apply, create, which is modeled after the HyperDoc design. But once I get done with that digital dump, then I go back and I start to do my digital design. So the biggest tip I can give you, I've got 10 items, and all of these things are free because I don't want you to feel like that you have to go out and purchase things to make your designs look good. Whenever I start creating, the first thing I do is in Google Slides, I use the Unsplash Google Slides add-on. And I have the link for you to add it on right here. And all the images that are inside of this presentation, and really all of my presentations that I do, that's not me. I'm not taking those photographs. I'm getting it all from Unsplash, and I can use it totally because they're royalty-free images. The next item that I usually pull up are icons for docs and slides. It's made by the company Flat Icon, but basically using icons for images help to draw the eye to what information that you want to pinpoint and you want to draw attention to. So I use that quite often. Color Pick Eyedropper. I use this Chrome extension if I need to identify a color that matches something in a scheme. If I want to add audio to Google Slides, I use Online Voice Recorder. It's a free tool that allows me to record anything that I need to for any kind of content. I also stick to these rules. I don't use any more than 2 different fonts in a presentation or in a digital lesson, because if you use more than 2, then it is cognitive overload for someone. So I try to stay within a 2 font minimum. I try to avoid using red at all costs, especially for the color of a font. Whenever I'm choosing a color, I almost always pick black. Notice that I've got this blue color because it is a hyperlink to something. But I do not, if I need to draw attention to something, I might use an animated GIF, or I might use an icon or an arrow, but I'm not going to make the font in red, just because, again, it's cognitive overload. I do use animated GIFs, but I try to limit the use of them. I don't have like 4 or 5 on every slide. Yes, I know I have 2 on this one, but what you'll notice when you go through a presentation of mine is that I do strictly try to limit the number of them that are on there. And I also encourage students that if it's too much, I show them how to delete them off of there. Because yes, it might add something to it, but if it's not absolutely necessary, then I don't want them to feel overwhelmed. Anyone with a link can view, all right? It's an Alice Keeler Chrome extension, and I use it all the time. Every time that I'm making a presentation, when I'm ready to share it out with everyone, I tap that little link, and it will automatically update my settings to anyone with a link can view, especially because I share so much on a digital platform. I consciously try to think of less is more on a slide. I know you're probably not thinking that because I've got 10 items on here. I didn't want to stretch this out and have more slides. I wanted to fit all 10 on here. But typically when I'm thinking of content for students, I am trying to think about less is more. And number 10, I pack my punch on the title slide. I get a lot of teachers that'll say, yeah, but if I don't have very much here, I feel like I can't show my true creativity. And what I always tell people is if I want to have like a cool looking font or something like that, I try to do it on the very first slide. So I can kind of get that out of my system. And when I think of a piece of artwork, I think about what is the focal point, and it's whatever I'm going to notice is, you know, the largest on the screen. And I really take that piece of artwork that's on the title slide. I spend a long time coming up with that. So if you're wanting to pack your punch somewhere, put it on the very first slide. And if you're not using Edit the Master, make sure that you go in, and I'll link the video that I have about using Edit the Master, because what it's going to do is it's going to lock the items on your slides so that way students don't delete items that they need to make sure that they have. So I want, again, and you might just pick a couple of these to get started with, and that's perfectly fine. I don't want you to feel like that you have to be able to do it all. I also have a slide on here that show shortcuts. They work on Chromebooks, but a lot of these shortcuts work on a desktop too, or any other type of laptop. But these I'm using all the time, because when I use these shortcuts, then it helps me whenever I'm going to create digital content. So this is a good one that you may want to print out and go back to refer to. But I ultimately want you to know that you don't have to do this on your own. If you feel like that a digital dump, getting started with that is really complicated for you, you're not sure how to get going, contact me. That's what I'm here for. I want you to know that no one is expecting you to be this fabulous instructional digital designer. If you need help with it, that's what I'm here for, and I can help you out with it. We can coordinate a time. Now that we're not back to 100% virtual for everybody in the district, I can definitely carve time into my schedule to make it happen so that I can help you out. So please email me and reach out to me so that we can work together on this. I'm also going to offer some live digital planning sessions, because I think a lot of times people just need to like watch me helping somebody else, and they watch me go through the process with them, and that is what they actually need. And then they're like, okay, now I'm good for that. So I haven't determined the dates for that yet, but look for that information coming soon. And a lot of what I'm talking about today really resonates with a video that's becoming pretty popular. You may have seen it. If not, I'm going to show it again anyway. This is a student who I believe is in Canada, and the teacher had actually given a prompt for them to do an assignment of, you know, what it's like going through, going through COVID and having to do so much work at home. And this student created this time-lapse video, and I think it's very telling, and it's something that everyone needs to see, just as a reminder. And trust me, I know that that video is very hard to watch, but it is so true for what's going on with our students right now. Of course, in my head, what I'm definitely thinking about is acknowledging that teachers are right there too, and I totally understand that. In my head, I was like, you know, what if a teacher made a time-lapse video of what it's like for them to try to teach, you know, virtually, you know, in their classroom, if you're an online teacher, if you're having to do it from your home. You know, I don't want you to take this PD and what I'm saying in the wrong message. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to say that everyone's doing a bad job. I know everyone's doing the best during the circumstances. I just want to bring awareness so that we understand that when we're designing assignments for our students, that it's more about the quality of the assignment and it's not about the number of slides. That's the main message. And again, if I can do anything to help you out with this, I'm more than willing to help.